We're Kim and Al. Last year we made some pretty big changes. We retired, sold our house in the city, and moved north to an old farm homestead at the end of its life. Our plan is to build an off-grid home ourselves. This year, with our solar and septic systems completed, as well as basic four-season shelter, we're ready to take on the challenge of building our forever home. We're excited to share our experience as we continue to create this new life on the North River.
Lol. Hey folks, just yet another electrical system update. So what we've done now, just when we first got the trailer into the enclosure, for power I simply ran one extension cord in through the pony wall, like through the corner, and then sealed it up to, so mice can't get in and that, there's no air getting in. And then I just basically plugged the trailer into that, just like you would if you pulled into a lot. And then what I did is I took another extension cord and cut one end off of it so that I had plugged into the other outlet and running in through the same hole as the extension cord for the trailer, except that one I actually stripped the wire in that and wired it into the first outlet that I had put inside the house. So there was one outlet that fed the other outlet on the center support post, and then that chained off and joined to that last outlet on the end, which then brings power up from there to the fan and that. So one thing is, because of the distance, we're bringing power from that set of batteries to this box and then into here. I wanted to make sure that we have the shortest distances possible, and then for those distances that we have to accommodate, that I'm using as large a gauge wire as possible. So I've got, and for those who aren't aware, the lower the number, the higher the gauge. 8 gauge wire is very, very heavy. It is typically braided. I don't think you can get 8 gauge solid core. I could be wrong about that, but everything I've seen, it's always like multiple strands of thick wire braided together. That would be very heavy. That's for your stoves. That can carry 40 amps. And then, as you go up in number, the wiring gets thinner and thinner. So standard house wiring for a 15 amp service is 14 gauge. 12 is for 20, and then onward and upward, right? Lower the number, bigger the wire. So what we've done is right now from the actual inverter to the panel is 10 gauged wire, underground rated. I had some left over, some of which I used for the outlet that we plug into the generator to charge the batteries, and then what remained from that is right here on the ground. And what I did is I brought it up in and attached it to this double pole 15 amp breaker. So I'm going to take you inside and I'll explain why that is, but in the meantime, one 15 amp breaker goes to this outlet, the other to that outlet, and then this is controlling the 2 feeds that are going into the trailer. And then these little plastic pieces, I just picked those up off Amazon to close the open slots, because this is a sub panel that we had from our house in Toronto, and I had replaced it with a larger panel, and so I just had this kicking around, and it's more than enough space for what we're doing. Because again, for those who haven't seen the original video, our system is a 30 amp system, but a little misleading in that it's 2 separate opposite phase 15 amp circuits. So we can run 2 separate 15 amp circuits on their own breakers at the inverter, and then I've just brought each of those to one of the 2 rails in the panel. And so it's a lot of redundancy. So I've got, this is protecting with a breaker, and if that failed for some reason, there's another breaker in there, and then you'll see when I bring you inside that they're wired to GFCIs as well. So lots of redundancy, but we'll take you inside and I'll show you what we did in there. Well, hello. This is part 2. The earlier clip we showed you the panel where I had added a double breaker, 15 amp. And so from that breaker, I've wired 10 gauge wire, this black wire here. And that brings power from the panel into the enclosure. Then what I've done is I had this run of 8 gauge wire from our stove when I replaced it with armored cable in our place in Toronto. So just having that, and bigger is better when it comes to wire gauge. I use that to bring wire to the first outlet. And then from there I've got 12 gauge wire that I brought to the next outlet, and then 14 from there on. So just trying to keep the gauge as big as possible based on the materials that I have to minimize voltage drop. Just trying to get the most out of most efficiency out of our solar system. So that's one line that comes from here. And again, because I've used 3 conductor wire and I'm wired to a double breaker, technically if I join those two, I can get 230 volts, and that's what I've done with this other wire here that's coming out. It goes to a switch. That switch goes to the pump, and now we're running the pump at 230 volts. Inside the pump is a little switch to switch between 120 and 240. So I switched it over to 240 and rewired it with the new wire, and it runs a lot smoother. It starts a lot easier, which is my understanding is the benefit of using 240 volts versus 120 where applicable. And then the final run I have the yellow wire that is also 12 gauge wire, so it's really meant for a 20 amp circuit, but I'm using it as a overkill on a 15 amp, and that goes to an outlet behind the trailer. That is where we plug the trailer in. So now we have the light back here that I wired into the battery, so that's independent from the solar system altogether. And the last thing I'm going to add to this, I got to put one more little punch another hole in the box and put another little protector, and I'm going to just run a length of wire up with our hardwired carbon monoxide and smoke detector. So that'll be a second redundant carbon monoxide and smoke detector. We already have one built into the trailer. This will be another one for the enclosure, and then below, wired to the batteries, I'm going to add the propane and natural gas detector. Propane specifically being heavier than air, it will go down to the floor. In the trailer, we have our propane detector at the floor level, which means that with the door being open, any gas that does flow down to the floor would then flow out the stairs and down into the enclosure. It would mean that the enclosure would have to fill up to the point where it would be level with the propane detector in the trailer before we would get the alarm. So that's a little too late for us. That's why we've decided to install a second one in the enclosure closer to the tanks and at floor level. That way, if there's any leaks from any place, it'll get detected as quickly as possible. And that's where we're at.
And it's nice and bright back there now because you've got lights on either side. So
Yeah.
you go to
the
dumping in that
As Kim's just mentioned, yeah, we this was the reason, like we bought a couple of sets of those LED lights, and we really like them. They're really bright and they're easy to work with. So I put one back here, as you can see, and it has its own switch attached to it. So that lets us turn the light on back here when we're running the pump. Which is the reason we put the switch on. Before, I had to walk over here, plug it in, come back here, run the water, go back there, plug it in, blah blah blah. Now I just run the switch while I'm there filling the water, and then I'll turn it off once we're full. And it also, I store a lot of my tools and things back here underneath the trailer, so at night it really helps to find stuff having these extra lights.
We're just about to take a walk along the river. We're about halfway through the winter now, and we realize that we don't have enough wood. And on our walks, we've noticed that there's a lot of dead fallen elm that is really dry, and we need some hardwood that is going to burn cleaner and longer. We do still want to cut down Terry's tree, but there is a lot of snow at the back of the property, and we just don't want to have to trudge through that. So we're going to wait to do that until we get, until it melts a little bit, or until we can get back there without having that be an ordeal.
This is going to be sled 2.0. The sled league. Howdy folks, welcome to the outside. It's -7 and then including the wind chill it's about -15 right now, so relatively warm. So we're just doing a quick chimney inspection. You're gonna come along for the ride with us here. So this is the clean out. You just unscrew this. You can see that, looks like a bowl of God only knows. And I'm gonna dump this into our garbage can. What I really want to do is go up with the flashlight that I got in my pocket and see if we've built up creosote in the outside stovepipe. And I'm pretty happy that if there's not any creosote built up in the pipe, oh, there is. Not tons.
How much?
Enough. Probably like Ted was saying, like a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch in some cases.
Really?
It's worth sweeping.
Okay.
Up, I can't see now. I have to be able to get the brush in there, which means I have to take the top off, take the midsection off, take this off, or we have to do it from inside.
Pick up the dice, give it a roll. You never really know which way to go. Feel it inside, feel the spark, lift you up when you're falling apart. We think we know it all, we stand 10 feet small, with our head under ground. I think I've seen it all, that I've come so far, but it just got me high till I broke down. Does somebody know of a place where your heart doesn't sink like a stone? When you're naked and broken with nowhere to go. Does somebody know? Does somebody know of a place where the green isn't covered by snow? Every time that your eyes speak, it's time to let go. Does somebody know? Somebody know. Be what you are, like what you feel. Don't let the colors fade when it's hard to deal. So pick up the dice, give it a roll. Get yourself up when you're left out alone. We think we know it all, we stand 10 feet small, with our head on
simple-minded. I've been blinded. I'm on a merry-go-round. I got this fever, baby, going through my body. I feel like shaking the ground. Call me lovesick, like I bother. There's no other. I'd beg, borrow, and steal. I wanna do right by you. Can't you see I'm hurting the way you make me feel? Oh, 'cause my heart breaks. Oh baby, baby, please, I'm begging on my knees. Won't you listen? My hands shake, a shiver down my spine. It happens every time. Can't you see that my heart takes over? Takes over. All I ask for, plain and simple, show a little. Oh, can't you see who I am? I'm on a tightrope, baby. Step by step, I wonder if only you'd understand. 'Cause my heart breaks. Oh baby, baby, please, I'm begging on my knees. Won't you listen? My hands shake, a shiver down my spine. It happens every time. Can't you see that my heart takes over? My heart takes over. My heart takes over now. My heart takes over. 'Cause my heart breaks. Oh baby, baby, please, I'm begging on my knees. Won't you listen? My hands shake, a shiver down my spine.
So we finished doing the one wall drywall with on the side of the Clary Story windows this week, and we're really happy with it. It looks really great, and we did actually put a cement board just around the hearth, just for extra safety. That was me. I know that it's not necessary, but you know, why not?
It's not a bad call. In the end, it's easy enough to do. It doesn't cost a whole lot extra. So we just put that behind the hearth and to either side of it.
Yeah. And so one of the things we've noticed since we've had it up is we've got a little bit of more reverb in here since we put that up.
Yeah, we're getting that echo effect. So now that we're getting away from the cotton candy walls, we're not, and it sounds not just deadened and absorbed into the insulation. So it's like anybody that's moved into a new place. It's like, you know, before you put your pictures up and get your furniture in the room, everything just echoes and bounces off the walls. So we're starting to get that. And I'll say this about drywall, and I know most people not huge fans of drywalls. Hats off to drywallers. I've nothing but respect for guys that do it really well and really quick. But I don't mind the drywalling part, like the Tetris part, cutting things, measuring them out to size and piecing everything together. It's the mudding and the taping, of course, that's a sack of volleyballs, if you will.
But we're not going to be doing that for a while. We're probably going to leave it like this for some time.
For quite a while, yeah. Until the trailer's out and everything else.
Yeah.
Likely, only in that you've got to sand, and sanding makes a royal mess, and we'd rather have nothing in here with the windows wide open, and hopefully the door to the garage there as well wide open, and then we can sand and clean to our heart's content.
Yeah. So we're only drywalling this side, obviously, because we're not going to be able. We don't plan on taking the trailer back out of here until we have the house built, because that pony wall is insulated in, it's Tyvek'd in, and we don't want to have to do that until later.
Take it out and put it back, and take it out and put it back.
It was also a pretty tight fit, so probably better to just leave it in.
Let that sleeping dog lie, for sure.
So, we're really pleased with the way that it looks. It really does make it feel a little bit finished in here.
Yeah, for sure it does.
We're going to be doing the half of the big window wall next, which should be a relatively simple wall to do. And then Al wants to do a pony wall for this back wall because he doesn't want the venting to show. So that is going to be a bit more tricky, probably.
I think they call it a service wall, 2x4 wall to put the plumbing in and hide it behind. No offense to anyone who has this, because I've lived in lots of places where they'll kind of box in the ductwork or box in a pipe. You have a bathroom and then there's a box that's covering the stack or something like that. It just drives me up the wall. I'd rather just bite the bullet now, and we will just build a 2x4 wall all the way up. Then I can hide the vent in there. I can put the plumbing all behind there, and as well we'll insulate it and just double up the insulation on that one side. Yeah. So that's the extra step that we'll take before we drywall this last wall over here where the stovepipe is extruding. And then that's that. One thing we did accidentally come across is when I moved all the lights out of the way to drywall each section, I had one kind of suspended hanging in front of the window, and when it got to nightfall, noticed that these LED lights, they really are very bright, and it throws quite a bit of light outside as well. Before we had them mounted above, as you can see in other videos, and that was great for lighting up this space, but just seeing that it was hanging down and actually threw some light outside so we can see what we're doing out there at night. We remounted all the lights after we drywalled. We put them in the frame pointing straight down, so half the light is flooding into this room and half of it's going outside. And it looks really nice. We were happy with it. Like last night driving home, we could see, you could see the yard, you could see what you're doing, and
yeah, because that is a problem right now. We have no outdoor lighting, so this really does help a lot when we need to go out for any reason at night, because it gets pretty black out there.
Yeah, unless the moon's out.
But yeah, so pretty pleased with that, and more drywalling next.
Yeah, more to come. Yeah, exciting stuff.
Yeah.